Welcome back to Game Over Hell for our review of Blaster Master Zero, one of the first digital releases on the Nintendo Switch, now available on every platform. If you know anything about the Blaster Master series, you know it's been around since the late 80s, starting with Blaster Master on the NES. The original is still regarded as one of the best games for that system, so I guess for the average Blaster Master fan, the expectations for this soft reboot must have been high. I'm not a Blaster Master mega fan, the original was too frustrating for my liking, but I know the series went through some rough times for a while. I can't imagine any fan played Zero back when it was new and thought it sucked, because this game is a blast. Master. It's one of those retro 8-bit style budget releases that are simple and short enough. It's obviously a remake of the first Blaster Master, but with an added layer of accessibility that only exists to make this playable for someone who never touched the NES controller. Very standard jump, dodge and shoot platforming style at a glance, but it has a few unique features as part of the series' tradition. You explore a 2D world of connected zones, controlling a vehicle that can shoot in multiple directions. As you explore, you unlock more mobility and weapon types for the tank, some which make use of its SP gauge that slowly refuses its zone if you wait, or instantly by picking up blue capsules. This puts a certain limit on how much you can abuse of your tank's special abilities. Unlike your life bar, this doesn't ever get upgraded. And yes, this is a Metroid style game, but unlike in Metroid, you also explore mini dungeons in a top-down shooter style gameplay, which you do by getting out of the tank and entering these small doors. It's still a unique gameplay split that I don't think a lot of games try to imitate, and maybe won't appeal to just anyone. The skill set required is almost completely different. No platforming or momentum, just move around, aim and shoot, and try your best not to get shot. Especially if you pick up power-ups for your blaster. The more you pick up, the more types of shots you unlock. You can select a lower or higher tier shot manually, which I guess you're expected to do based on the situation. But personally, I just try to keep my blaster maxed and don't allow myself to get hit if I can, because the highest level shot pretty much handles everything to the point of trivializing much of the top-down gameplay. If you do get hit, your blaster goes down a level, making you lose access to more and more of your special shots. You might not want to end up with your standard pea shooter when fighting the many huge bosses in the game. If you do, I'm sure they're still beatable. To be honest, the Max Blaster does make most of the bosses die really fast, because they were tuned for the default level. But the game usually gives you 1 or 2 power-ups in the same room where the checkpoint before a boss is. There is an upgrade that gives you a shield that protects your weapon from being downgraded. It helps tremendously without ruining the challenge since it goes down with 1 hit and requires a bit of time to regenerate. You also have a small selection of sub-weapons like bombs which don't degrade when you get hit. Sometimes these can help a lot if you can't avoid being hit. You unlock more sub-weapons as you explore the planet. The story intro should seem familiar to NES fans, although it's a lot more fleshed out and with higher stakes here. It's not the kind of story that will make people impressed, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's like a 1 hour long OVA for fans of early 90s post-apocalyptic mech anime, without the mechs, which only works because the gameplay is so comfortably easy to get into. The few characters are more or less likable, if not harmlessly bland. But again, this is a short game, and if you're a snob who thinks stories that don't make you cry or think deeply about life and the truth of the universe aren't worth experiencing, you can skip it and focus on just playing. Now, if you know anything about Sunsoft, you know you were in for some incredible chiptune music when you saw their logo after booting the game. Sunsoft only published this game. All the hard work of designing and development was done by Inticreates, but the soundtrack doesn't disappoint. There isn't a single bad track in the game. I even added some of them to my work study focus playlist. Believe it or not, original NES era Sunsoft composer Naoki Kodaka was not involved in this. This is an impressive attempt by Inticreates sound team of replicating Kodaka's style under supervision of Ippo Yamada. Blaster Master Zero music makes use of modern tech, so it's not exactly one-to-one with what could be done with a NES sound chip, but it still sounds very characteristic of what you might have heard in a classic Sunsoft game. Many other budget or indie games done in a retro style had good chiptune music, but Kodaka's compositions had this cleanliness to them that is usually unmatched, until this game came out. Graphically, this is both convincingly NES-like and clearly not being limited by actual NES hardware restrictions. It's a good-looking game with a lot of color and very easy to distinguish objects and background. Because of the split gameplay style, we end up seeing pixel art of all shapes and sizes. A lot of small sprites during the tank gameplay and chunkier, more detailed work in top-down levels. Bosses being very big and very detailed with some sprite scaling and rotation going on that stands out from the rest of the presentation just a little. Every area has its own distinct palette and theme, which helps the typical Metroid style backtracking not make you sick of seeing too much of the same kind of scenery. You usually get your upgrades quickly enough that you won't have time to get tired of any one area. Maybe you still get tired of one area. If you're into exploration action or Metroid style or Metroidvania, however you want to call it, this is a safe pick. Despite the NES look, it controls about as well as any modern side-scrolling game should, and because it only takes a few hours to complete, it's an excellent stopgap game to play between the bigger, flashier games you have in your backlog, with a good pace between the destinations the game sends you. Combined with the pleasant, colorful graphics and exciting chiptune music that matches the tempo and the aesthetic theme of the game. You can get this game on its own for really cheap, or you can get a bundle which includes Blaster Master 0, 2, and 3 in most if not all the digital stores. I haven't played them yet, but if they're anywhere near as fun as the first entry in the Zero trilogy, they should all be worth buying. A physical Nintendo Switch card that contains all 3 games exists in Japan. If you can import, I say go for it. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing and spreading good word of mouth. We're always working on more videos, even if this channel has nothing to do with our full-time jobs, and it would mean a lot to us to reach another subscriber milestone. Thanks for watching and take care.